On a clear October morning, police found a delivery truck parked on the shoulder of an empty highway. Inside, the driver was found shaking, unable to explain how he arrived there. When the officers opened the trailer, they found the interior completely bare. The multi-ton payload of packages had vanished, despite the rear doors remaining sealed. The corporate telemetry tells a different story. This tracking map shows the truck's GPS ping locked onto a single coordinate all night. According to the data, the vehicle remained stationary for 8 hours. Commercial fleet systems are designed for constant satellite contact. If the truck had moved, the uplink would have logged the velocity. The digital record shows zero movement. However, the driver's statement focused on a local warning. Don't cross the old bridge if the river disappears into the fog. He had ignored the folklore for the sake of efficiency. When his GPS suggested a shortcut through the mist, he kept the truck moving forward. But that shortcut shouldn't exist. The bridge his navigation system suggested had collapsed into the river 20 years ago. This creates a direct conflict between the digital record and physical geography. The software logs a truck that never moved, while the driver describes a journey over a bridge that no longer exists. The driver described entering a thick fog where the pavement suddenly looked new. The potholes vanished, replaced by fresh asphalt and bright yellow lines stretching into the mist. As he drove deeper, his cell phone lost all signal. The cab's radio began to emit a steady, heavy static. Then the GPS unit changed. It stopped providing coordinates and directions, instead announcing a weight limit of 1 memory. He found the bridge littered with dozens of cars, all parked with their doors open and their engines cold. Every radio in those abandoned cars was active. They were broadcasting fragments of old conversations, a mother's goodbye, a child laughing, and a voice asking not to be forgotten. Standard instruments are ineffective here. The bridge doesn't respond to the truck's weight or speed, but to the voices and memories coming through the speakers. Looking over the railing, the driver saw no water. Instead, there were hundreds of headlights far beneath him, revealing identical iron bridges stacked vertically into the darkness. After the headlights below all switched off simultaneously, a worker appeared in the fog. He handed the driver a rusted toll ticket stamped "Paid, 1986." The driver was born after that date. The ticket is a physical object from a year he never lived through. The worker told him the bridge remembers before people do. It operates on its own timeline, independent of the current year or the driver's own past. When the truck's horn began to blast on its own, the fog began to move toward the cab. The GPS gave a final instruction to reach yesterday, and the driver accelerated into the whiteout. This environment allowed a modern vehicle to interact with a 1986 toll system. The bridge uses these historical points to overwrite the present location of anyone who enters the fog. The truck burst through the fog onto the highway, where police eventually found him. The transition back to the morning sunlight was instantaneous. The shipping company closed the case weeks later, relying on tracking data that insisted the truck never moved. These systems prioritize consistent data. If human experience doesn't register on a satellite, the software is programmed to ignore it. That conclusion was challenged when a package arrived at the warehouse with no return address. It contained the driver's original manifest, the one that should have been in the truck all along. On the back of the paper, a new note had been added. It specified a requirement for the next crossing: 1 passenger required. Digital mapping provides a sense of total control over our surroundings, but these physical artifacts suggest that some locations have their own rules, and they are still collecting tolls that the GPS cannot track.